Okay, so now let's start this over again. Now you can see me a little better now.
You can see me. And at the same time, I
Okay,
had
let me
this
get
idea to put this
my.
thing in front of my light. Just like
Oh,
I remember seeing somewhere you put this thing to, in the professional things, they have this like screen in front
yeah,
of the light bulb
I'm
so it
so
doesn't
prefer.
burn your eyes, right? I have these like really old sheets and they're like
I'm
practically transparent, right? And so I put it
actually
in
a
front of the
lot of
light and I'm like,
people.
wow,
pref-
now my eyes don't
Yeah,
burn. That's great.
yeah. Professional photographers have those big giant lights, like they put pantyhose or something over it, and it
Yeah.
diffuses the light so it doesn't burn.
Panty. I just don't have any
So,
pantyhose at home. There's no uh
so.
there's no members of the household that are using those things, unfortunately.
Well, it's that's what I've heard. I don't use pantyhose either, so just for clarification's sake, I don't wear pantyhose.
No, but it's the type of idea. It's just like use what's at hand for these kind of things to jerry rig
Yeah,
these things.
exactly. Right.
Like I heard,
So
I
right,
was
that's
looking
why.
up a way how to do the whole green screen, but at the dollar store for under $10. I was like, what do you mean?
You have to have some
And you
kind of
get,
program, I
those
think, for it.
big
I don't know.
sheets of, you don't do
Yeah.
dollar store? Big sheets of paper in
I don't know. I
green.
don't know how to do it. I don't know the programming you would need to do a green screen because you can put like any background you want, when you're editing. So I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's just how
So
to,
as I
no,
said
no,
before.
but that's the editing side, but there's the whole technical side. Like it has to be
Yeah. Right. This
green,
is
right? So you get these big sheets
right.
of green, and then like the tape that goes with it, you can get green tape, or you can tape it on the back or whatever. So you make yourself the whole screen behind you, and then
Wait, I want to
it's
do
just got to
something.
be
Hold on.
nice and flat. And then the lighting
Let
too.
me flip my phone.
You're upside down now.
I'm upside down. Okay. Great. All right. I
You're
won't
upside
flip.
down from
Okay.
doing
I
flips.
wanted to flip my phone, put the
And then
camera on the other
so
side, but it won't flip. Okay.
and then you got to get like good lighting for it. Like it doesn't work with just house
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah.
Like we know, like lighting is just
You
huge.
need those.
And so what they say is
Yeah. You
the
need.
the cheapest way to get good lighting, those long like fluorescent tube light fixtures, like industrial
Yeah.
size, you can get them at like 6 feet,
Yeah.
eight
Yeah.
feet, ten
Yeah.
feet, like well, probably not 10 feet, probably not 8 feet. I don't know, 6 feet, 4 feet, these kind of things, right?
Why not?
And you can pick them up for free, basically. Like they're lying around everywhere, right? If you go, well, certain places, I've seen them lying around. Like they're in garbage things. Like they just don't like the look of them, but they're still perfectly useful. Get some tubes, and then you set up like two together vertically, and that's your panel of light, right? Then you're just buying fluorescent light tubes, stuff from Dollarama.
I
After
don't
that, you
know.
need
You know.
Sean, and after that, you take a video of you doing whatever, send it to
Yeah.
Sean,
Right.
and you edit it in. Like
Yeah.
you're right, the editing side of it, but that's the processing. What you need is the setup. That's all physical. If you're just thinking about editing software and you don't think about the other thing, the video will look terrible. So
Well,
it takes
it's
a
all. Yeah.
mechanical
It's a
mind.
whole. It's a whole. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't. I don't have that. Well, I can. I could probably do it if I knew about the programming, but I don't have
But
that
it's
kind
the
of mind.
programming.
And
Like just do
I
the
see
green
what.
stuff and then send it to someone who knows the programming. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you ever watch the weather, when they do on the
Yep.
screen when they're on front of the screen, it's a green screen or a blue screen. So they tell them
Exactly.
not to wear blue or green. So there's one weather channel woman
She
wore
doesn't
like
remember.
a blue suit or something. So she was like a floating head
She
in front of the
disappeared.
in front of the screen.
But
Yeah.
that's
She
just it.
completely disappeared.
But
Yeah.
a good example, right? You and I are the weather girls. The weather girls, do you think they have any idea how to do editing on green screens? No.
No, no, of
And
course
some
not.
of
No,
them even
Sean
know
does. So
what
like,
color
yeah,
to
right.
wear. You and I, we at least know, okay, don't wear green in front of a green screen. Like, I mean, if we're at this basis,
Yeah.
I think we're like well beyond her anyways.
Oh, it was
So that's all
Groundhog's
it
Day too.
is.
They had a
But
that
then
was I
send
was
it,
thinking about Groundhog's Day. Chevy Chase and Rose McGowan. That was the movie.
yeah,
It was a movie, but it's still the same thing basically.
yeah.
So
No,
like
that's
me
it.
and you being the weather girls, so we're the talent and the looks, and Sean is the
That's it.
brains.
Send it back. Right. No, but you get these things like all these ones, like any kind of CGI movie, anything that takes more than, well, anyways, anything that has any kind of look of professionalism has a team of at least like, well, I'm going to say 10 people for those like Weather Girl ones, like 10 people, right?
Yeah.
Sound, lighting, the background guy, the director, like 10 people, right? It's just you and me and Sean. This is already ridiculous that, Sean
Yeah,
does
I
everything
know.
and
Yeah.
everything and everything and everything, accounting,
He's
lawyer, and
doing
all
so
these things.
much.
So, but
He's doing so
like
much
you
right
and
now. He's
I, if
getting.
it's just
Did you read his post today? He's getting like 25 domain names. He's got to get. He's setting him up as
are you signing up for
what the
one?
hell
Do
is
you want
it?
one?
He's
Frank
setting him
at
up as what's a nonprofit? He said he's got a GoFundMe set up already for a nonprofit. He's got to get a bank account. He's doing all
yeah.
this stuff, and I can't believe what he's doing. It's so much. He's actually making this a big thing. All I want to do is a
Well,
stupid podcast. I don't want to make it this big.
that no. But for his thing, like he wants to make it his livelihood, as it were. So I understand where he's coming from. You
Yeah,
got to build
yeah.
this
No,
big
I
base.
understand. Yeah, yeah.
But I agree with you.
And he's
Like me and you are. Well, I see myself as much as that a contributor, like content contributor.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
That's about like
And
I've
he's
got a lot.
and the deal that he got with his landlord too. He's being a
Sounds
maintenance
good.
guy for two buildings, and his
Yeah.
landlord's going to give him his apartment for rent free for doing the maintenance for two buildings, and making money on the side doing that. He's going to have a lot, and he said he's going to have a lot of free time to do all this. So this is
hmm
good for him.
Yeah, no, and that's yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like these things, like again, that
Seeking
just to
Truth,
say
finding
yes to a lot of
podcasts
this
with
stuff,
Frank and
like it's not
Fraser.
that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, there's possibilities. He's a young man with a strong back. He'll get, and again, just focus a lot of his
Yeah.
time on this, but just enough to like again, pay the bills and heat the thing. That's all he
It's
needs.
it
Yeah,
seems
it's a
like
pretty
it's
basic
very
setup, but
cathartic for
it's a
him
basic
too.
setup. I don't see basic setup. I mean, it's a basic. He has basic needs, and he's not like he said in the one podcast. He's not
I
going
think
beyond that.
this is
He's got
the
like three things on his list. Kind of food, rent is done. This, and then it's like just logos
right.
and like internet stuff. You know what I mean? So no,
Is
he's
there a
got it.
delay between me and you right now? Is there a delay between me and you right now? Because I hear like I see your mouth moving, then the sound's coming afterwards.
Um, well, should you do it?
No, now
So
it's
like,
fine. No,
and
now
now
it's
it's
fine.
fine. So like, I don't know,
There was
one,
a slight
two,
delay
three.
before, but we're okay. Yeah, there's a two
I don't know
second
how to
delay.
test that.
Don't worry about it.
Oh,
It's
that's
fine
okay.
now. So, like I said before, we had a little snow here. Supposed to
Mm,
get they predicted a foot here, so and that's probably normal for Montreal, not for New York. So we only
not
got
today.
like 1.5, 2 inches, but it's that really heavy, wet, slushy snow.
Oh,
It's hard to move. I
it's
went
heavy.
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't lift it. You just have to push it with the shovel. The snowblower won't work. I
No.
couldn't even get it off my car. It was just too heavy. So I pushed it all. I pushed it onto the side. And I get to the bed down to the driveway to the sidewalk. I turn around. It's covered again. It's like I didn't do anything. So I move it again. I
And yeah,
push.
it's
I
like
move as much snow as I can. I go back inside and screw it. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be
it's fine.
43 degrees, a little sunny. Hopefully it'll melt and be easy for me to push.
Yeah. No, and it's just that. It's that. Uh, it's like it's saturated with water. So even if it's like
Yeah,
this, you just measure it
yeah.
out. Like
It's
oh, what
it's
is it?
fun.
It's
It
like
weighs a ton.
one. Exactly, like one certain measurement, it's like 1 liter, like that's one
Yeah.
kilogram, or like
If it was
2.2
fluffy
pounds.
snow, if
Your
it
whole
was
driveway,
if it
even if it's
because
this thick, it's
right
like, hundreds of pounds. Yeah, yeah.
because it was like 35, 36 degrees today with the snow coming down, it was heavy and wet. If it was
Oh,
at
it's like
or below
snowman
freezing,
snow.
we would have
You should have
had
made
much.
snowmen.
Yeah, right. We would have had a lot more accumulation, but since it was hot and well, warm and heavy and wet, we didn't get
It
as
went
much
away.
accumulation. But we would have had a
Yeah.
foot if it was like the fluffy, the skiing snow, the
No,
very
and that,
fluffy snow.
yeah, that takes a while more to melt off. But yeah, when it's a couple inches, the roads are already kind of warm,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
within a day, it's usually gone. The worst for me is the
Actually, you know what?
roads. The roads is what, ugh,
I am going to
that.
show you. I know I'm getting dark. I'm going to show you outside my window. So give me a second here.
It's cutting out a bit.
I don't know what you'd be able to see. Oh, you can't see a damn thing. It's really dark out, can you? You
You
can't
want
see
to
a
see
thing,
outside?
can you?
I'll show you my window
Can you
too
see
at the
anything?
same time. That's kind of nothing.
This is
You can
really
see
like the
out my
streets are
window
pretty
because
clear.
I
That's
have
my car.
billboards.
I can't see a thing. All right, I'm gonna
I'm
stop.
gonna,
It's too
I'll
dark
show you
out.
mine.
Street.
I'm gonna see if you can see mine.
I had a flashlight on.
Better be quiet. This is actually
Alright.
horrible. Here, check this out. It's pretty dark,
It's a
eh?
little dark, boys and girls. I can't see. I can see a little bit. Well, you got better street lighting than I do.
That's my street
That looks
lighting.
like that looks like
Good
the
to
top of
go.
the taxi cab. No, I can
This is
see
the high.
outside though. He's pretty high up.
That's the highway.
It's pretty clear.
It's like not even a half a block away. Where's my car? Oh my God, someone stole my. Oh no, my car's right there. There she is.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so you're only about 2 stories up like me.
I'm on the
You're
third,
on the
yeah.
second floor, right? I'm
I'm
on
on
the
the third. Here's my
third.
cat.
Okay. So,
My neighbor put that weird. I shouldn't show you my address, I suppose.
no,
No,
don't show anything. Don't show anything like that. That's a little
it's
too
true.
private. But
Anyways, but yeah, no. So
um,
it's no, I really
my
like my
apart-
street actually.
my
It's
apartment, I
nice.
have a walk-in. The first
Yeah.
apartment's a walk-in. My landlord's on the second, a first floor, and I'm on the second. So I don't know if you would call me on the third or the second floor. I think it'd be the second floor.
Yeah.
It's apartment number
Ours
three, but it's the second floor.
in the three. Ours is like I was in the stairwell there. There's like 6 apartments. There's like two on the
Yeah.
first floor, two, and then the other one's just two. It's all old, like, workers they used to put all the workers up in here. And so you see down up the streets, there's not a tree on it. Not even a spot for a tree. They didn't think about
Okay.
greenery. They're not even allowed, like new constructions, they're not even allowed to do that anymore. But it's pretty packed.
Really?
It's
No, you can't.
it's not industrial now. It's just like, families, I guess. Yeah.
No
But the
trees.
highway's
Okay.
right beside us, and they're just like doing construction over there. This giant interchange, right? And it all has to come down.
Okay.
So it's going to be like a 10-year project, bit
Really?
by bit.
Oh my
Oh, it's
goodness.
nutso calypso. And so, it's a pain in the butt getting in and out of my neighborhood because
Yeah,
basically,
I
like this
bet.
whole thing just kind of wraps around the neighborhood on the west side there. But then one day it was William. He pointed it out. He's like, Dad, look, they're taken down. Like there's like bridges going over bridges like this. They're taking them down, and it's
It's like a
not
clover
like
leaf. Huh?
dental, right? They take these big like crane things and like rip pieces off. He's
Yeah.
like, Dad, look at that, robot dinosaurs. It's like, true, like these big freaking claws just eating this thing. You never get to see that, right? It's like one of these things
That's
that
cool. I would
it's
love
like
to
once in
watch
a
that.
lifetime you get to see a huge structure like that taken down while they're
Yeah,
making
right?
another one because it's such a major intersection. They can't close it. It's like the major road into downtown. So they've got this way of taking it
Oh,
down and putting the other one up at the same time. Mind blowing. It sucks.
well, that's really
They're
screwed up.
doing it wrong,
Yeah,
but it's just
America
like,
could never have
oh
anything
wow,
like that.
it's
You
nothing,
could never
right?
have anything like that here in America. We're too stupid, I guess.
Oh,
I guess you're a little
oh well,
more
your interchange is
advanced.
way worse. You're like in New
Yeah.
York, your roads just go way over, in terms of
The conditions
complexity.
of the road too are horrible. Potholes. Yeah,
There, New
it's
York,
terrible. The conditions here are horrible. Yeah. Yeah, they don't maintain the roads here. They collect taxes and they'd rather spend them on illegal immigrants
do
or
you
welfare
want to
people.
have a bad road off? No, Montreal
Absolutely not.
has better bagels than New York and worse roads.
I
Better
doubt it.
bagels, but worse roads.
I
Oh, we
doubt
have
you have
better
better bagel.
bagels.
No, you can't beat a New York bagel. Don't even try. Don't even try. Don't even go there, Fraser.
Oh
You have
boy.
better bagels.
Montreal
A
bagels.
proper
Mm-mm-mm.
bagel. Wait, wait. A proper bagel is boiled and then baked. That's how you get that nice chewy outside and soft center. Are they boiled and baked there?
Yeah, of course. We're not stupid. In a wood
Okay. Then,
in a wood bake oven, right? Of course. I mean, of course. But
oh, okay. They
still, New
probably are
York
better
does it.
then.
You're still doing it wrong though. Like you get the basics together, but still, New York bagels just aren't as good somehow. No, but everywhere else though,
Have you had New York
everywhere
bagel
else,
before?
New York is like number two. But everywhere else I've ever had, like bagels where I
Have
was
you had
growing
a
up,
New York bagel?
was just like a piece of bread in the shape of a donut. You know
With
what
a
I mean?
circle.
It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it just
Yeah, I've been
sucks,
to
right?
Florida. That's what the bagels were in
Oh,
Florida. Just round
they're
bread
just
with the
why would you
circle.
even do that? That's just dumb.
No,
It's just
no.
a bun.
And it's a
It's
special
just a
type of
bun.
dough too. It's disgusting.
Yeah. But, and so New York does
Have
it
you
better
ever
than them, but still not as good as Montreal. That's all I'm
have you had
saying.
a New York bagel before? I just want to say, have you had a New York bagel? You've
Well, I
never been
mean,
to New York.
I've never been to New York, so all the ones I've had are stale.
So
They're
here's two
obviously all
things. Now, when you
stale.
come to New York, I got to take you to a good pizza place, and we got to get bagels,
I can
and I'll
give you the
show you good
pizza. I'll
bagels.
give New York the pizza. We just have,
Okay.
we just have
Well,
good,
all right. So you
well, we have
taste the
different, like,
bagels.
they have fancy
So I'll
pizzas
take you
up
to a
here,
good
but
pizza. I'll take you to a good bagel place,
bagels,
and you'll have yeah.
the jury's out on the bagels. I'll have to come and see. We'll have to do a bagel off. I think it's going to be a big,
Yeah.
just being
Oh
silly.
yeah. Bring some.
Oh,
No, you
bagels,
can't. No, nothing beats a
some
fresh
cream
bagel
cheese.
when they come hot out of the oven. Oh, a hot.
Oh,
Yeah,
just out
yeah.
of the
You
oven.
don't. You don't. Yeah, you don't even know. The Italian thing. You don't even know. And they're Jewish too. Not even Italian.
You should
Bagels
see
are
like Little
Jewish.
Italy. I spent some time there. I spent some time in Little Italy here. It was a great neighborhood. It's a little bit more up in the class, but they always get the roads. They're always cleared first. You just gotta ask why. It's like, well,
If you
city
well,
workers and this kind of
here
thing,
it
we
is.
get better services.
Here's the thing:
Just saying.
the richer the neighborhood, the better the roads, and the faster they'll be cleared of snow,
I
because
don't think this
rich
wasn't
people tend to
richer.
drive
This was
more.
just more connected, we'll say. They had a higher priority.
Okay,
A few years afterwards, they did this
there
big
you
cleanup
go.
of the mafia and arrested like hundreds of people.
Oh yeah,
And
here
then,
too.
oh, and anyways, no, no, no. But Little Italy was a great place, one of the safest places I ever felt. It was just like,
Yeah, right. We
you
had
go have
that
a
here
cat.
too.
Yeah.
The only thing we had a mayor. I don't know if you know the name sounds familiar. Rudy Giuliani. You've heard of him?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay,
We
great.
hear about your
So he was a mayor of New
politicians.
York for a long time. He cleaned up parts of New York that we never thought would ever get cleaned up. Like Times Square
Yeah.
was like the worst for prostitution and adult stores. He took all that down. He prosecuted all these people. But the only thing was he prosecuted all the mafia around here. He put them all in jail. So
Hmm.
we had a neighborhood here that was like Little Italy. It was a lot of cafes, Italian stores, pasta stores, stuff like that. When all the
Right.
mafia guys went away, all the Chinese moved in, so now it became little Chinatown. And
Yeah.
believe me, it's not better.
It's definitely
I miss
different.
it.
Like the thing happened here where it would get kind of moved out. It was terrible when they did that big sting and everyone was kind of in the slammer, as
It
it
must have
were.
been like a
And all of a
nationwide
sudden, there
kind
was
of
a lot
thing.
of legal fees to pay. And all these cafes and
Yeah,
certain stores in Little Italy,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
were suddenly up for sale. And so it was like little cafes that I was in, right? And I remember there was like videos of like money being shifted from hands to politicians, these kind of things, in
Yeah,
the back rooms of these places in Little Italy. It was like,
yeah.
whoops.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
no, these
here's a.
these things come and go, but as it
I
were,
don't know if
I
this
mean,
is.
Little Italy's still there, and we have a nice,
I
like,
don't know if this is funny or not, but we had a cafe that in the back was a meat slicer, like those cold cut slicer, but they didn't sell any meat.
Mhm.
Think about that.
Yeah, it was probably just for pastrami on the
Cutting up bodies.
bagels or something,
Yeah. Cutting up the bodies.
cutting up the bodies.
Yo, you gotta cut up
For
Vinny. What are you waiting for?
Oh
Yeah,
man,
okay,
this is a
there's
different kind
nothing,
of
yeah, there's
no,
nothing
but that was
suspicious about that.
but I mean that was I don't know how true those things are, like The Sopranos and these kind of things, like how real life
It's
it is, or
very
how
true.
kind of
No, these
these
are
kind of
true to
things,
life.
even
True to
nowadays,
life. Yeah. Believe
because
me,
this kind of show, yeah, yeah,
I shouldn't really say this, but I knew people like that. Friends of
yeah.
friends.
Oh yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah, for sure.
Fraser, I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. We're mostly Italian.
Okay,
We
you
know
know,
all
if
these
you,
people,
yeah,
right?
that's it.
So,
Yeah, no, 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 yeah.
from stories, yeah, secondhand stories that I've heard. I was never involved. My father kept me out of that. Um, all these things that you've seen in The Sopranos, Goodfellas. Goodfellas is actually a true to life movie. All these things are true. 99%
Yeah.
of it is true. So these things that these people do, as screwed up as they are, yeah, they did them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and but like you said, or well, like I mentioned in that, well, and mostly in Montreal, like there's still some of the upstarts they keep, well, not they keep doing it. There's certain, like, say, of the street crime that kind of like pop off in the street, as it were. But it happens very rarely that they've all kind of taken on that same kind of ethos of like, don't
yeah,
bring it to the public. Whatever's going on, just don't bring
yeah.
it to the
Keep it
public because
private.
as
Yeah,
soon as you do
right.
that, boom, it's over. It's over. So,
Well,
just like in did you ever watch Boardwalk Empire?
I watched a few episodes. It wasn't my thing.
Few episodes. It was like the kind of the
Yeah.
Prohibition period, sort of the.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
almost like the Irish mafia, or there was not the mafia, but there was just
Yeah,
different
he
groups,
existed. No, it wasn't
kind of
Irish Mafia.
loosely, right?
No. Of
And it was sort of the
course there's an
startup
Irish
of
Mafia. There's
the
Jewish
Al
Mafia, Russian
Capone.
Mafia. Any ethnicity you can think of, they have a mafia. But you got to remember too, here in New York in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, we had the five families. The biggest,
Mhm.
most powerful mafia in the whole country. Was it now? If I can remember, it was Gambino, Bonanno, and I'm trying to remember Lucchese. I can't remember the other two, but the Gambinos were the biggest.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
that was
yeah.
and but it was but again that Boardwalk Empire, it just started up. It was just showing was it with the Italians? It was more in Chicago, it seemed like. But again, it was just sort of, and then New York, obviously they pushed in there. And then as it comes to the 50s, 60s, 70s, now you get this suddenly like that was the one that kind of made it out on top, as it were. There might have been these other groups,
Yeah.
but the Italian mafia really got roots and became, well, at least
The five
culturally.
families had to start in New York with
Yeah.
Lucky Luciano. He's the one that made the commission, the five families, and the bosses. So I just looked it up. It was the Maranzano family became the Bonanno family. The Profaci became the Colombo family. The Mangano family became Gambino. Luciano, that was Lucky Luciano's family, they became Genovese. And the Gagliano became Lucchese family. So we have Bonanno, Colombo, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese.
So those were all the links back to like Italian crime
They go
families. Is
back to
that
what,
right?
the 1920s and 30s when Lucky
But
Luciano
when you say
created all
like
this.
what it was, what it is, what does that mean? Is that what
What
it
it
was in
is
Italy or
now,
what it is in US or no?
well,
Like Luciano
it
became
was
something
different.
totally different, right?
Luciano became the head of the five families. He was the top godfather, the what would they
Okay,
call
sorry. Okay, I thought
the
no, no,
not
sorry,
the
I was
king of kings.
mistaken.
He was like
Yeah,
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 I
Luciano.
know I know what you're kind of thinking of, but he like became the not the king of kings. I can't remember the Tutti the Capo, Tutti the Capo de Tutti Capo. That's it. I can't remember, but that was it. Italian's a little hard for me. So he created all these families. He created all this powerful network of mafia
Mm,
families. And now today they're back down to their roots like they were in Italy. They're just basically street gangs now. They don't have the type of power they had way back when. But they were
mm.
big, 50s, 60s, 70s, 40s even. They
Well,
were
this
big. They
gets
had a
to,
lot of
oh,
power.
that's an interesting transition. This gets to prohibition. How,
Yeah,
that
right.
anything
Because
prohibited
yeah,
gives any kind of gang power, right? It was
the mafia
alcohol,
goes right.
it's prostitution, it's any kind of drugs,
Gambling,
and then you get into like
right?
more
Drugs, right?
legit kind of things, which is, yeah.
Well,
But
they
yeah,
just
those are
control. They
like
control
whatever it is. So if we talk about
okay.
Luke,
Here it is. In New York, they controlled the clothing market, the cement, bricklayers, and something called the Fulton Fish Market. Now, to normal people, anybody outside the U.S.,
mhm,
the Fulton Fish Market just sounds like just like a fish store. It's not.
mhm.
It was the biggest import on the piers where they imported fish. So the mafia had control of that. So they controlled all the fish coming in. The price gouging was crazy.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
they control these huge markets. And anytime the mafia gets into anything legit like
The price.
construction, clothing, stuff like that, prices always go up because there's a lot of thievery in there. They steal a truck, they sell the stuff out of a truck, they sell it on the street, and the manufacturer has to make up their costs somehow. So they
Hmm.
raise prices on
Prices go up,
what they
yeah,
sell legit. So
for sure.
everything, right, and the construction, you know, any kind of bids or anything else that goes to the mafia thing, the prices always go up because again, they're stealing. If you bid like
Hmm.
$100 million to build a building, like something like
Certain percentage.
$20 million goes to the mafia pockets, and so there's always some type of price, and that's what the mafia does, and
Yeah,
basically
no,
what you
no,
said, the
that's it.
illegal stuff,
That's it.
prostitution, gambling, drugs, they anything that's clandestine, they're gonna be really good at that. That's their bread and butter. Not the
Oh
legit
yeah.
stuff, more the illegal stuff.
Well, in terms of like, the influence as well. Influence is a big one, and that's the
Yeah,
one that
yeah,
here in Quebec, they went through recently like just a big dig down all over, just corruption in terms of government contracts, these kind of things. That's what they were going after. A few mayors, they really hit them. And these guys were not like mafia. These were just sort of people, taking bribes for contracts. But it gets to what you're saying. Like, it was part of the system. Here in Quebec, they're a little bit more open about it, a little bit more obvious, a little bit more dumb about it, perhaps. I don't know, not dumb about it, but here we're at least open about it. Like, corruption is everywhere, right? I had a friend and he was talking about it, or he was putting it in perspective. Like, yeah, so here we have, like you say, this certain corruption tax. And it comes in like things like that. Like, again, things that are just missing off the back of the truck, boom, 2%. Just sort of, well, the politicians got to grease their hands, boom, 5% more, right? And these kind of things at the end of the day, if you just look at globally, mafia, everyone, whatever everyone's squeezing out of the system inappropriately, as it were, you get yourself a 20% tax, corruption tax. And, it just, different parts of the world, it's just different, right? Some places it's like 70% corruption tax. New York, I'm sure it's squeezed down, right? Like you say, these guys are getting squeezed down into, now we're looking at 10%.
Well, it's part of the reason why.
Still up there.
It's part of the reason why our cost of living is so high, too.
But it's come down, I'm sure. Or now it's maybe a different level, but, that kind of tax. So it's like at the store, right? When you're going to the store, and they were paying like protection tax at the time, like if they have to pay out of their till
I was going to get into
X money, all their prices are going up. Now that immediate sort of corruption has gone, but now at the upper level, contracts, like $1 million contracts, this big interchange right beside us. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying, right? And so, what it is.
Yeah, and the protection tax, I think the fee that they're paying is protection from them. You don't, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Fresh fees on me?
Whoops. It's cutting a bit now. It just has me finish.
I think you just froze on me for a second.
Whoops. Yeah, no, my thing just actually said, connection not there, finish. I'm like, whoa, and then you pop back in. Maybe we want to, well, it's getting late anyways.
Well,
I should,
maybe
we should.
Well, let me finish, I'm going to finish my thought. I just want to finish my thought. It said the protection tax was protection from them. So if you didn't pay, they would bust up your store, break your kneecaps, whatever. So you're protecting them from themselves. They're protecting themselves from the mafia, basically.
Yeah, it was a funny game. But that's the sort of thing. Now it's like, that's the public domain. Don't mess with that. Like, you just couldn't get away with that today, I don't think. Not in, like, most neighborhoods.
I don't know if it's overt. It's not as overt as it was, but it's still around.
Mm-hmm. Because now it's very neighborly, in terms of this neighborhood is this certain street gang. This neighborhood is this certain street gang. So, there might actually be a legitimate protection against, like, fly our colors or else,
Well, it could be protection against rival mafias, but basically, if usually they work together, because having a war or working against each other is not good money. They work with each other, so they would cooperate most of the time. Right, and then the wars, there's always a power war every 15, 20 years. So
there'll be a power war, but as you see in these movies, it's not good for business, so they try and avoid it as much as possible. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar with the John Gotti story, how he came into power. That was a whole mafia war in that, too.
No, I know the name, but I don't know how he came to power, no.
Oh, okay. There was a mafia boss of the Gambino crime family called Joe Castellano. He was appointed after, I can't remember the name of the guy who died. I can't remember the name of the guy who died. It was Carlo Gambino. That's it, Carlo Gambino. He was a good boss. He was out of the limelight. He presented himself as a businessman. He was very short in stature, but he was deadly. Don't get me wrong. So he dies, and he puts Paul Castellano in charge. Castellano was not a street guy. He was a numbers runner. He was, mostly he was a bookie. They wanted the guys on the street wanted John Gotti as a boss because Gotti was a street guy. So Gotti came up with the plan to kill Castellano. He was killed in front of Sparks Steakhouse. That's got to ring a bell for you somewhere. Okay, look up Sparks Steakhouse. Sparks Steakhouse. I drove by it a couple of times. He's killed in the street with his bodyguard. Was a mafia hit. But the thing is, though, you can't kill a mafia boss unless you have a approval from the rest of the families. So
Ooh.
Gotti wasn't targeted for killing Castellano. He was actually approved of it. So they killed him. Gotti came into power, and he was kind of like in the limelight. He liked the reporters. He liked the big suits and the fancy
Yeah.
cars and everything else. And because he flaunted it in front of the FBI, they tried to put him in jail twice. He got off, and then the third time he went in jail for life. He died in jail of throat cancer. He died in jail of throat cancer.
He died in jail in the end. Yeah, like the name rings a bell, but I never did look up his history. Like when you
Oh,
say that, I'm
really,
like,
really?
wow, I don't like I know the name, I know some of these. I don't know, someone. This
Oh,
wasn't the
what was his
one.
other
No, no.
boss's
Obviously,
name?
if he died in jail, I thought,
Sammy
is
the
this the one
Booger.
that's like in the cement underneath some baseball stadium? That might be a
No,
different guy.
no,
There's a
that's
bunch of them there, I'm sure,
Jimmy
but
Hoffa.
someone
Jimmy
famous is under a
Hoffa.
baseball stadium, I think. No?
Jimmy Hoffa.
Hoffa, is
Yes,
that where
Jimmy
he's at?
Hoffa.
Which
Hoffa,
stadium
yes.
is it? It was some stadium or
They
something.
say it's Giant Stadium, but I don't think it's true.
No, just a myth.
His
He's
name's
dead.
Sammy the
Like
Bull
he's probably in
Gravano.
some swamp, right?
He's long dead. Does the name Sammy the Bull Gravano ring a bell?
No. Bucravano?
No.
No.
Okay, so this is all United States, New York, New York famous people, basically.
Yeah.
They didn't make the headlines past the city. This is
I mean,
basically
there's some of
these are
these big
local
stories. Like there was, what was
celebrities.
that? Oh no, he wasn't one of those. But the most recent one was a London one. A pair of twins in
Oh, I
London.
didn't
I
know
can't
about
remember
this.
what their names are. Like London, England, I mean, not London, Canada.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. I kind of figured that. Yeah.
Anyways,
London, Ontario. I know there's
that
a London,
started a whole
Ontario, Canada.
subject the other time. That started like a 15-minute tangent when you said that the last time, so I'm just laughing. Um, no, no, no. So yeah, no, but it was this pair of twins, and one of them was like brutal and just like like he was just a killer, and he didn't seem to care about making violence. And the other was like the businessman, and they came to like run London, like just in this weird way. And so it was this night. It was a good film to watch, but it was a totally different style of,
Oh,
or maybe it was similar kind of. It was back 60s, 70s, and it was set in there. But
yeah.
like you say that. But anyways, so this is kind of like different styles, but these were actually like twins. Were they twins or just brothers? It was the same guy played both of them in the
Possible, yeah.
film, but they're not. They would be fraternal, I would guess. But one of them's like kind of weird, not weird looking, but it was. So they come up as twins, but one is like you
Yeah.
say, one's the bookie and one's the violent one. But they like
I'm the
ran it
violent one.
together. It was an interesting thing. But like you say, anyways, so he ended up dying in jail. Okay, so because he got
Yep.
approved to do it, like he got approved before
Yes.
he killed.
You have to have approval to. You have to, especially if you're a made man, you have to have approval to kill somebody, another made man. An
But it almost
associate,
sounds like
is free ring.
yeah, it almost sounds like he was like there's almost like the military wing of the mafia and then the political wing.
Well,
And
there's a
if he was more
hierarchy.
good with
There's
the
definitely,
street people, that's almost
yeah.
like he was good with the street people. And then there was these number guys like yeah, go ahead and kill him. But it was more like I don't know. I'm trying to
There's actually
imagine
no. There's
something
actually a
like this, right?
hierarchy. There's like the boss,
It
the
is going to be.
consigliere, the underboss, and you got the captains, and
I
you
missed
got
a bit.
the soldiers, and you got the
Okay.
associates. So associates wouldn't be made, but like uh, captains are for sure.
Yeah, this was the whole
Name me
thing
some of
in
the people under the
Sopranos. I remember
captains.
this kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah. So
right.
being Italian in New York, you know all these things.
But the
So you
Sopranos,
want
you
to
remember
watch
the
good movies?
Sopranos? They described it to me, no?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How,
Yeah.
guys
They
got
got some of them.
promoted, right? And then it was like,
Yeah.
now he's made, right? Yeah, yeah. I
So
get a
you
little
watch
bit of it.
Sopranos.
I
You watch
watched the whole
Sopranos.
thing.
That's good.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, yeah.
Watch Goodfellas. You want to see a good mafia movie? 99% of that movie is true. Watch that
That's a
one.
good one. Goodfellas.
And
I'm sure I've seen
The
it. That was
Godfather.
something.
And The
Godfather, yeah.
Godfather, Marlon Brando, the first one.
Just the
Fantastic
first.
movies.
Seen those ones, yeah. And just how it comes,
They
like
got
just
good.
good, sweet guys that kind of come up to this thing. It's nice. It's like to
Oh yeah, right.
person
These are
personalize them a bit. Yeah. See the human
yeah.
in
These
them
are
anyways.
these people are the milk of human kindness.
Or something like that. They're milking,
Yeah.
no, they're milking human kindness.
The milk of human kindness.
They started as milk and then they just ended up milking
Yeah,
it. Anyways.
yeah. We're
Yeah.
farmers.
We all just come out as farmers. Some of them are milkers, some of them are witches. That's it. Not to it. Not to it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, no.
All right, so you want to end it there?
It was. Well, maybe we should cut it there. We can we do it. I
Okay.
was. Oh, did I have another one? Yeah, I cut together another one. Oh no, I posted it. Anyways, whatevs.
Yeah,
There'll be some other
yeah, you
ones
just
showing
posted
up
a few
on that.
minutes ago.
I'll just keep putting on YouTube. I'm not really bugging everyone else with them. They got other stuff to think about,
Yeah.
but just piling up stuff. Even the little edited ones. Did you see the? Oh, all you have to do is watch the intro, and I put in the last one or two.
Oh,
I
I
put
gotta see.
Sean's music, and there's
Oh, I
like a
gotta see
30
it. I
second
haven't seen
intro
it.
with Sean's music. Yeah, but it doesn't
I
show
don't
us at
watch
all.
him.
You
No,
can watch the
oh,
30
okay.
seconds before we even start talking, you know what I mean? And it's got a little thing that
That's fine.
Sean
That's
did, a
fine.
music bit. Well, he comes out, I don't know if you saw that music video that he put up, just with him playing
No, I
all
didn't.
you see is his fingers. And he did a bunch of
I
music.
didn't
And then
see.
there's this one part where he says something like, oh, fuck. I don't know. Anyways, you'll see it in the intro. And then there's also in the outro, there's about 20 seconds. So if you could see it, you just skip right
Okay,
to
I'm
the
gonna
end.
take a look.
Skip right to the In the last couple, I put them in there. It was like, oh, this is perfect. I found the little clip. He gave it like a 9-minute music video, but then there was like these little clips. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. He says the name
Oh,
Seeking
good.
Truth, or he sings the name Seeking Truth, Finding Frank and Fraser. I'm like, intro. I'm
Perfect. There
serious.
you go.
You listen to it. It's just great, right? And then all I do is that zoom
Perfect.
shot with the photo that he gave us. But anyways, yeah. No, it's fun.
All right.
So
So this has been Seeking Truth, Finding the Mafia with Frank and Fraser.
finding family.
Yeah, well, they basically are family. They're the family whether you like them or not.
That's right, exactly. I'm so glad I know an Italian in New York. Oof, I just became
I'll
safer.
protect you. Don't worry, buddy. Stick with
Yes,
me. I know.
I know someone is. Anyways, all right, very good. Well, have a good night. Yeah.
All right, you too, Fraser. Take care. God bless. Oh, wow, my hand got big. Look at this. I got the camera on this side.
Here it
All
comes.
right.
Here it
We'll do
comes.
it.
We're hanging up now. Hanging
Tommy!
up.